Nah, this is real life that we're talking about. We're not talking about dingleberries and applesauce. Yeah, it's real life.
And that's always been my whole thing, and have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that.
You do it, right?
Yeah.
I know you've been heavy on social media talking about it.
He did it. And I'm the only one who's been vocal about this long before it actually. But I also didn't participate. I also didn't go to those parties.
No. Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. He wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to.
And Terrence Howard worked on my first film, Get Rich or Die Trying with me. He's a good friend of mine.
Just when it seemed like the Diddy chaos couldn't get any crazier, bam. 50 Cent jumps in with a wild claim, saying he might have actually saved Terrence Howard from getting pulled into Diddy's freaky world. But hold up, it gets even messier. Terrence is finally breaking his silence and calling out names. He's exposing how some big industry men never told Diddy no, and how they were more than ready to trade in their pride at those infamous FO parties. Terrence says he barely dodged the madness himself. And here's where things go off the rails. Diddy's team allegedly reached out to Terrence, asking him to be part of a docuseries. Did he accept? From what's being said, Terrence and 50 were actually planning to spill everything. Now, the big question, who said yes to Diddy? Some huge names are being thrown around, and a few of your favorite rappers might be on that list. This story is spiraling fast. So does 50 Cent really have the receipts ready to drop in that docuseries and expose everyone who pulled up to Diddy's wild parties? And what really went down when Diddy allegedly tried to reel Terrence Howard into one of those scenes? Let's break this madness down. I'm always right. It's like, when I'm right, I'm right. And when I'm wrong, I could have been right. So I'm still right, 'cause I could have been wrong. In case you missed it, Terrence Howard recently hit up the PBD Podcast and gave one insane interview. He opened up about how some big names in the game straight up traded their integrity for access at those high-level industry parties. But then it got even deeper. Terrence didn't hold back, saying that exact kind of shady stuff is what went down at Diddy's parties too. You do all those things when you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the Puffy party. He hinted that plenty of celebs didn't walk out the same way they walked in. And when host Patrick Bet David name-dropped Justin Bieber, suggesting he might have been caught up in Diddy's twisted world, Terrence didn't deny it. In fact, he backed it up, saying, "You can see how some of these stars are still carrying the weight of what went down. Whatever happened at those parties left marks, and not the kind that fade." That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things, thinking there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some over-greater desire. You should have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there, because they get fluid, and next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what. But Terrence didn't stop there. He dropped a serious bomb. He claimed Diddy actually tried to make a move on him. According to Terrence, it started off innocent. Diddy hit him up, acting like he needed help with his acting game. Then suddenly, Diddy switched it up and started showing interest in Terrence's music. That's when Terrence's assistant stepped in and warned him. Something felt off. Real office. Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it? Hell yeah. What was the consequence when you said no? Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there. And he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me like, waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to expletive you. But here's the kicker. Diddy wasn't the only one pulling shady moves. Terrence said he had run-ins with other major producers too, all of them throwing weird backdoor offers his way. Terrence made it clear he stood his ground. He wasn't about to sell himself out, no matter what the offer was. And because of that, he says he lost out on some huge Hollywood deals. He kept it real, and that came with a price. Be hands-off with somebody, a number of producers coming to make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth or knock their head off for talking to you like, or looking at you like, you're a woman. You know, when you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. There's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room. But he wasn't about to bend over. As you'd expect, social media exploded once Terrence's interview started circulating. Folks couldn't stop talking. You see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that. They can't get it out of their head, the things they did, no matter how they did it. Whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. The women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like, achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process, I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place. What benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. The craziest part? Most celebs are staying dead silent, like they've never even met Diddy. Except for a few bold ones like 50 Cent and Cat Williams, everyone else is acting like they don't know a thing.